industry in the Philippines is the rice sector. Rice is the country's most important staple crop. Philippines, as a result thereof, is considered to be the 8th leading country in terms of production of mild rice for the year 2019-2020. So, in order to provide and sustain this need of the Filipinos, the government have always been supporting the rice sector and the country and acknowledge their vital role in the nation's economic growth. Furthermore, in order to ensure this governmental objective, the government have continuously supported our local rice farmers in order to maintain the sustainability of rice production in the country. Republic Act 11203 has created the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund or Rice Fund to improve the competitiveness of rice farmers and increase their income amidst liberalization of the Philippines' rice trade policy, including, among other provisions, the lifting of quantitative restriction on the rice import and replacing it with tariff. The Rice Fund established the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Program or RCAP, which aims to complement and supplement the existing Department of Agriculture. Republic Act number 11203, also known as the Rice Tariffication Law, aims to ensure food security and to make the country's agricultural sector viable, effective, and globally competitive. Rice tariffication is desirable because it is far superior policy instrument, it's transparent, and any individual or group willing to pay for the tariff can import rice.
The next topic will be tackled about the salient provision. It is highlight the most important things in this law, which is the Republic Act number 11203, or also known as the Rice Tariffication Law. It highlights 7 of the most important things about this law. First, raise sustainable investment in rice industry, particularly on rice support, infrastructure, and post-harvest facilities. In this way, the Rice Tariffication Law wants to lay down an economic development funding concerning to the rice industry. Second, improve the productivity, efficiency, and profitability of small rice farmers and landless farm workers. Through this law, it lend a help to the farmers and landless farm workers in order to enrich their ways of farming in relation to owned a great produce. The third one is strengthening research and development programs that will enhance the resiliency of the rice industry. This means through building up an analysis together with flourishing programs lend in relation to develop the flexibility in the subject of rice industry. The fourth one is preserve and enhance the rice production capabilities on future generation. Republic Act number 11203 come into being in order to protect and strengthen the production of rice proficiency and availability for the purpose of future generation. Fifth, provide accessible, targeted, and technology-oriented support service that cover the entire value chain. The Republic Act number 11203 highlight in relation to certified availability along with the technology-oriented in order to protect every single one of the worth sequence. 6. It set up the responsible, participatory, and effective governance mechanism. This means Rice Tariffication Law establishes duties in relation to acquire the empowerment together with the successful administration system. And lastly, 7th, address the impact of income loss caused by the rice tariffication. This means it catered the influence on the subject of income loss coming from the rice tariffication, wherein it come into being in order to highlight those deprivation.
Structure and update of the implementation. President Duterte signed the RTL into law on February 14, 2019 as RA 11203. The law replaced rice import QRs with tariffs. Tariffication. Tariffication is an effort to convert all existing agricultural non-tariff barriers to trade into bound tariff and to reduce this tariff over time. A bound tariff as a ceiling beyond which it cannot be increased. Lifting of quantitative restriction on imports and export. Quantitative restriction allows the government to limit the volume of rice that could be imported by the Philippines each year. It is intended to protect local rice producers from the adverse effect of cheap rice imports. Power of the President. The President may increase, reduce, revise, or adjust existing rates of revise or adjusting rates of import duty up the rebound rate of the rice tariffs. Creation of the Rice Competitiveness Enhancement Fund or RCEF to improve the competitiveness of rice farmers and increase their income amidst liberation of the Philippine rice trade policy including, among other preventions, the lifting of quantitative restriction on rice import and replacing it with tariff. An aim to complement and supplement the existing Department of Agriculture National Rice Program or DENRP. Rice Farmer Financial Assistance Program is a direct cash transfer to qualified rice farmer primarily as compensation for their project income loss due to the drop of palay price.
Constraint of the implementation. In the case of quantity rate elimination with no tariff replacement, the volume of inflows of rice will increase by 92.7%, decreasing local palay production by 5.9%. The price of local palay will also decline by 2.9% overall. The volume of local palay production will decrease by 35.1 billion as a result of the drop in both the volume of production and prices. Kung ang volume inflows of cheaper rice will increase when replacing the local production of palay, then the local production of palay will also decline of 2.9%. So the value of local palay production will decrease. So bababa ang production at prices nila. If the elimination of quantity rate is replaced with the tariff, instead RE 11203, the volume of inflows of cheaper rice imports increase at significantly lower rate of 8.1%. The drop in palay price is also considerable, smaller at 0.2% overall. The volume of local palay production will decrease by 2.7 billion because of the tariff imposed on rice imports. Government tariff revenue will increase by 18.9 billion, significantly largely than the estimate of the government. If we eliminate the commercial rice, then we replace the local rice with taxes, then the volume of production will be increased and import rice at lower rate. In both cases, the elimination of rice quantity rate will result in lower domestic of rice, which in turn leads to higher value of rice consumption. The value of rice consumption, however, will decline by 2.1 billion despite the increase in the volume of rice consumption largely because of the decrease in the domestic prices of rice as a result of the tariffication of rice quantity rate. If the value of rice consumption bababa siya ng 2.1 billion despite sa pagtaas ng rice consumption dahil sa pag-ubos ng domestic prices of rice nga nagresulta ng taxes of rice quantity rate.
In both cases, the tariffication of the QR will result in lower inflation. The reduction in the overall price is larger in the case of no tariff replacement, mainly because tariffs are additional taxes on consumption. Across decile income groups, however, the decline in consumer prices is higher in lower income groups, largely because these groups are relatively higher expenditure share on rice in their consumption basket. If there is no tariff alternative, the reduction in total price will be greater, mainly because the tariff is an additional excise tax. Across decile income groups, consumer price declines are more pronounced in low-income groups. This is mainly due to the relatively high share of price spending in these groups. Both cases are poverty reducing. The number of poor will be lifted out of poverty is considerably higher in the first case at 409,956 compared to 38,060. For the second case, mainly because of the higher reduction in consumer prices. However, the negative effects on palay farmers are significantly higher in the first case with no tariff replacement compared to the case with tariffs under RA 11203.
This is the mostly agricultural problem in the Philippines. First is high input costs, lack of post-harvest facilities, climate change, market forces, land rent, and demographic. The agricultural problem in the Philippines first is high input costs. So many Filipino farmers are simply unable to take their production further due to the high expense of many critical inputs. Second is lack of post-harvest facilities. Most of the crop losses of farmers are post-harvest. This has been largely attributed to the historical poor private and public investment in infrastructure that can prevent these losses. The lack of these facilities and equipment make it difficult for most farmers to produce enough to return in the crop. As these losses destroy a significant portion of crops even before they make it to market. Additionally, the lack of these basic amenities make it difficult and even impossible for farmers to earn enough to ensure a succeeding harvest without needing to take on significant loans. The third agricultural problems in the Philippines is the climate change. Climate change is causing seasonal typhoons to happen more frequently and with more ferocity while leading to dry seasons with unheard or high temperature. Both of these situations are damaging enough for most farms' productivity. Next is land rent. While land rent could be considered as another high input cost, this is a uniquely serious issue given its political nature and also because most Filipino farmers do not own the land they cultivate. And the last is demographics. Fewer farmers want their children to have their life that they do. As a result, most of them do everything they can to ensure their children get better paying jobs. As a result, the average of the Filipino farmers in this today as a fewer younger people are willing to take up farming. This means that productivity